Imagine a time when the Ottoman Empire was an unstoppable force, its armies sweeping across Europe with unmatched ferocity. The year is 1697, and under the leadership of Sultan Mustafa II, the empire seems poised to cement its dominance once more. But on the banks of the Tisza River, in the heart of Eastern Europe, something extraordinary is about to happen. The Battle of Zenta is not just another clash in the Ottomans' vast history of conquests. It's a turning point that will shock the world. How did an empire that once controlled vast swathes of Europe, Asia, and Africa find itself teetering on the edge of collapse? In this video, we'll uncover the dramatic events of the Battle of Zenta, looking at the mistakes, surprise attacks, and key decisions that led to one of the worst defeats in Ottoman history. Could they have avoided this disaster, or was it inevitable? Let's explore the battle that changed everything. By the late 17th century, Europe was deeply embroiled in the Great Turkish War from 1683 to 1699, a multifaceted and grueling conflict that pitted the Ottoman Empire against a formidable coalition of European powers, including the Holy Roman Empire, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, and the Republic of Venice. This war was a pivotal struggle, characterized by its strategic complexities and ever-shifting alliances, which dramatically reshaped the political and military dynamics of the region. A significant turning point came in 1687 at the Second Battle of Mohacs, where the Ottomans, under Grand Vizier Kara Mustafa Pasha, suffered a crushing defeat at the hands of the Holy Roman Empire and its allies. The loss not only signaled a devastating military setback, but also marked a severe blow to Ottoman aspirations in Central Europe. Seizing the moment, the Habsburgs, led by Emperor Leopold I, launched a series of successful campaigns, reclaiming Vienna and large portions of Hungary that had previously fallen under Ottoman control. These victories culminated in the Treaty of Karlowitz in 1699, which solidified Habsburg territorial gains and marked a decisive shift in the balance of power towards the Holy Roman Empire. As autumn descended in 1688, the Ottoman Empire found itself in an increasingly precarious position, with the Habsburgs not only achieving military dominance but also leveraging diplomatic acumen to secure their influence. Hungary's decision to recognize the Habsburgs as hereditary kings further entrenched their power, leaving the Ottoman Empire struggling to maintain its waning grip on its European territories. In June 1690, Eugene of Savoy emerged as a formidable military leader during the Siege of Belgrade, a crucial confrontation in the ongoing Great Turkish War. The Siege of Belgrade was part of a larger campaign involving the Holy Roman Empire, Poland, Lithuania, and Venice against the Ottoman Empire. Eugene, despite suffering severe wounds in the fierce fighting, demonstrated exceptional strategic skill and leadership. His ability to adapt tactics under pressure, rally his troops, and orchestrate the siege operations played a pivotal role in the successful capture of the fortress from the Ottomans. This victory not only marked a significant turning point in the war, but also highlighted Eugene's military genius. His bravery and strategic insight earned him a promotion to field marshal, a position that would allow him to exert greater influence over the European coalition's military efforts. The successful outcome of the Siege of Belgrade, aided by Eugene's strategic prowess, bolstered his reputation and established him as a key player in the conflict. His rise to prominence was a direct result of his pivotal role in this campaign, setting the stage for his subsequent contributions to the war and shaping the future of European military strategies. Between 1691 and 1694, the Great Turkish War saw significant intensification, driven by the rising prominence of Eugene of Savoy. In 1691, Eugene's strategic acumen continued to shine through his successful military campaigns, further solidifying his reputation as a brilliant commander. His leadership was instrumental in several critical engagements, including the capture of key fortifications and the disruption of Ottoman supply lines, which placed substantial pressure on the Ottoman forces. The momentum of the war shifted in the subsequent years as alliances within Europe were continuously forged and broken. In 1692, the Ottomans, under Sultan Mustafa II, made concerted efforts to consolidate their territorial gains and secure their positions in the region. However, they faced mounting resistance from a coalition of European powers, including the Holy Roman Empire, Poland, Lithuania, and Venice. The Holy Roman Empire, reinvigorated by Eugene's military successes and the shifting balance of power, continued to challenge Ottoman advances. By 1694, the renewed pressure from the European coalition, coupled with internal Ottoman difficulties, led to an increasingly precarious situation for the Ottomans. Despite their attempts to regroup and reinforce their positions, the Ottomans struggled to counter the effective and persistent resistance spearheaded by Eugene and his allies, marking a period of intensified conflict and strategic upheaval in the war. In 1695, the geopolitical landscape of the Great Turkish War was marked by significant diplomatic maneuvering and strategic preparations from both the Ottoman Empire and the Holy Roman Empire. Sultan Mustafa II, determined to reclaim lost territories and restore Ottoman dominance, launched an ambitious plan for a new offensive. This strategy was informed by a series of internal and external challenges, including the need to bolster the empire's military strength and address the shifting balance of power. The Ottomans focused on reorganizing their military forces, reinforcing their positions along key fronts, and securing alliances with regional powers to strengthen their campaign efforts. Meanwhile, Emperor Leopold, one of the Holy Roman Empire, took decisive actions to counter the Ottoman threat. Recognizing the need for a robust defense and a unified front, Leopold worked to solidify and expand his alliances with European powers, including Poland, Lithuania, and Venice. These diplomatic efforts were coupled with substantial military preparations, as Leopold's forces were reinforced and strategically positioned to meet the anticipated Ottoman offensive. The stage was thus set for an intensified conflict, with both sides preparing for a critical phase in the war that would eventually lead to the climactic Battle of Zenta. In 1696, the conflict between the Ottoman Empire and the Holy Roman Empire reached a critical juncture, as both sides engaged in strategic maneuvers to gain the upper hand. The Ottomans under Sultan Mustafa II embarked on a decisive campaign with the aim of reclaiming the territories lost during previous engagements and reasserting their dominance in the region. This ambitious plan involved a series of meticulously coordinated military operations designed to recapture key positions and disrupt the momentum of their adversaries. The Ottomans focused on amassing a substantial force, including elite troops and artillery, to launch a series of offensives aimed at turning the tide of the war in their favor. Meanwhile, the Holy Roman Empire, led by Emperor Leopold I, was not idle. The empire reinforced its defensive positions and prepared for the Ottoman advance by deploying additional troops and fortifying strategic locations. The year saw a series of skirmishes and tactical movements as both sides sought to outmaneuver each other, setting the stage for the climactic confrontation at the Battle of Zenta. In early 1697, Sultan Mustafa II undertook a comprehensive strategic initiative to launch a major offensive aimed at leveraging the Ottoman Empire's opportunity to exploit the vulnerabilities of the Holy Roman Empire and its allies. This period marked a critical juncture in the Great Turkish War, as the Ottomans sought to reverse their recent losses and reassert their influence in Eastern Europe. The Ottomans, under Mustafa II's leadership, began meticulous preparations, mobilizing an extensive and well-equipped army. This force was augmented by significant resources, including artillery and supplies, essential for a prolonged campaign. Mustafa II's strategy was multifaceted. He sought to capitalize on the weakened state of the Holy Roman Empire, which was grappling with internal discord and military fatigue. To enhance their strategic advantage, the Ottomans focused on logistics and tactical positioning, ensuring their troops were well supplied and ready for the challenges ahead. This preparation involved fortifying their positions, securing supply lines, and planning for a decisive confrontation that could potentially shift the balance of power in the region. The Ottomans aimed to strike a decisive blow against the Holy Roman Empire, hoping to exploit any signs of disarray among its allies and capitalize on the momentum to regain lost territories and influence. The stage was thus set for a high-stakes campaign that would significantly impact the outcome of the ongoing conflict and shape the geopolitical landscape of Eastern Europe. In April 1697, the Ottoman Empire, under the strategic direction of Sultan Mustafa II, mobilized a formidable force estimated between 60,000 and 100,000 troops for an ambitious campaign aimed at reclaiming territories and reasserting dominance in the region. This massive army, comprising experienced soldiers and a wide array of military assets, began its advance towards Belgrade with a strategic plan to capitalize on perceived weaknesses within the Holy Roman Empire and its allies. The Ottomans made impressive initial gains, advancing steadily through the challenging terrain with the confidence and discipline characteristic of their well-coordinated military apparatus. Their disciplined formations, superior siege equipment, and well-practiced battle tactics allowed them to secure early successes, showcasing the potency of their offensive capabilities. However, as the campaign progressed deeper into enemy-controlled territory, the Ottomans encountered significant logistical challenges that began to undermine their effectiveness. The vast scale of their army placed an immense strain on their supply lines, which were critical for sustaining the troops' operational needs. The logistical network, designed to support such a large force, faced severe stress due to the extensive distances and the difficult terrain through which supplies had to be transported. Harsh environmental conditions, including unpredictable weather and rugged landscapes, further complicated the transportation and distribution of essential provisions, munitions, and reinforcements. The extended supply lines became a notable vulnerability, as they were susceptible to disruptions from enemy raids and local resistance. The logistical strain led to severe shortages of food, ammunition, and other critical supplies, which affected the morale and combat readiness of the Ottoman troops. The difficulty in maintaining a steady flow of resources not only slowed their advance, but also created a growing sense of uncertainty and fatigue among the soldiers. Despite their initial successes and strategic advantages, the mounting logistical difficulties foreshadowed the challenges that would eventually plague their campaign. These issues highlighted the critical importance of effective logistical planning and management in sustaining prolonged military operations, and ultimately influenced the outcome of their struggle against the Holy Roman Empire and its allies. In early September 1697, the Ottoman army, advancing methodically through the Balkans, reached the Tisza River, a key strategic juncture vital for both their defensive posture and logistical operations. Between September 8 and 10, the Ottomans undertook extensive efforts to fortify their position, constructing an array of defensive works such as trenches, barricades, and fortified positions along the riverbanks. This rigorous fortification was designed to solidify their stance and prepare for an anticipated confrontation with the approaching imperial forces. The Tisza River, already a formidable natural obstacle, was further reinforced to serve as a strong defensive line against any offensive maneuvers. Simultaneously, Eugene of Savoy, the astute commander of the imperial army, was closely monitoring the Ottoman movements. Recognizing the strategic importance of the Tisza River and the complexities introduced by the Ottoman fortifications, Eugene employed his renowned strategic acumen to craft a counter-strategy aimed at exploiting the Ottoman vulnerabilities. He understood that the Ottomans' elaborate defenses and the natural barrier of the river presented both challenges and opportunities. Eugene's plan combined maneuver warfare with psychological tactics, intending to disrupt the Ottoman fortifications and undermine their defensive posture. By employing deceptive tactics and targeted maneuvers, he sought to destabilize the Ottomans' confidence and induce errors in their defensive setup. As both armies prepared for the impending clash, the stage was set for what would become the decisive Battle of Zenta. The Ottomans' elaborate preparations contrasted sharply with Eugene's strategic innovations, creating a tense and high-stakes environment where the outcome would hinge on the effectiveness of their respective strategies. On September 10, 1697, the Ottoman forces began their critical maneuver of crossing the Tisza River, a key tactical operation intended to strengthen their position ahead of the anticipated clash with the imperial army. However, this crossing revealed a significant strategic oversight. The operation was executed in segments, leading to a split in the Ottoman army between the northern and southern banks of the river. This division created a precarious situation, as the vast Ottoman force was dispersed and lacked immediate cohesion between the two groups. The separation not only stretched their resources thin, but also impaired their ability to quickly reinforce either bank or mount a coordinated defense or counterattack. This fragmentation significantly weakened the Ottomans' operational effectiveness and opened the door for Eugene of Savoy to exploit this critical vulnerability. Fully aware of the Ottomans' disarray, Eugene recognized the opportunity to launch a decisive assault. The division of Ottoman troops made them susceptible to being outflanked and encircled, thus providing Eugene with a strategic advantage. The scattered deployment of Ottoman forces meant that their ability to respond effectively to a concentrated attack was severely compromised. As the stage was set for the forthcoming Battle of Zenta, this strategic blunder by the Ottomans created an environment ripe for exploitation, where Eugene could leverage the disunity and confusion among the Ottoman ranks to achieve a potentially game-changing victory. On the early morning of September 11, 1697, Eugene of Savoy executed a meticulously planned surprise attack, seizing on the critical strategic advantage presented by the Ottoman forces' divided state. The Ottomans, having crossed the Tisza River in a segmented fashion, found their army split between the northern and southern banks, creating a vulnerable and fragmented defensive position. Eugene, keenly aware of this weakness, orchestrated his offensive with precision under the cover of darkness. His forces advanced stealthily, their approach designed to evade detection and maximize the element of surprise, by deploying his troops to strike at the most vulnerable points in the Ottoman defenses. Eugene sought to exploit the disarray caused by their dispersed deployment. The sudden and overwhelming assault disrupted Ottoman preparations, preventing them from regrouping or consolidating their scattered units. This calculated maneuver not only exploited the Ottomans' logistical and strategic errors, but also inflicted a psychological blow, demoralizing the enemy troops who were already under strain from their divided positions. Eugene's well-coordinated attack aimed to decisively break through Ottoman defenses and secure a critical victory, leveraging every opportunity presented by the Ottomans' operational flaws. At dawn on September 11, 1697, as the first rays of sunlight illuminated the battlefield, Eugene of Savoy unleashed a meticulously orchestrated assault on the Ottoman positions, leveraging the critical vulnerabilities presented by the Ottomans' strategic errors and their fragmented deployment across the Tisza River. The Ottoman forces, having executed a segmented crossing of the river, were now scattered between the northern and southern banks, which significantly undermined their ability to mount a unified defense. Eugene, well aware of the tactical advantages provided by this disarray, had executed a covert and precise deployment of his troops during the cover of darkness. As dawn broke, his forces launched their attack with surgical precision, striking the weakest points in the Ottoman fortifications that had been exacerbated by the earlier logistical failures and disorganization. The imperial troops, driven by rigorous planning and superior battlefield intelligence, concentrated their efforts on the most vulnerable sections of the Ottoman defenses, areas that had been poorly fortified due to the Ottomans' overstretched supply lines and inadequate reinforcement capabilities. Eugene's strategy involved not only a physical assault, but also a psychological offensive, aiming to sow confusion and fear among the Ottoman ranks. His troops advanced with relentless aggression, exploiting every gap and weakness in the Ottoman defenses, which had been rendered even more precarious by their earlier tactical blunders and the chaotic state of their supply and reinforcement systems. The early morning attack, characterized by its speed and ferocity, rapidly dismantled the Ottoman defensive lines, causing a cascade of disorder and panic within their ranks. The Ottomans, already struggling with logistical challenges and the fragmentation of their forces, found themselves overwhelmed by the coordinated and aggressive imperial onslaught. This critical moment marked the beginning of a decisive battle that would ultimately unravel the Ottoman campaign, dramatically shifting the momentum in favor of the imperial forces and setting the stage for a transformative victory in the Great Turkish War. By mid-morning on September 11, 1697, the Battle of Zenta had reached a critical juncture characterized by intense and shifting dynamics. The initial surprise and effectiveness of the imperial assault had given Eugene of Savoy's forces a decisive edge, but the Ottoman Grand Vizier, Sultan Mustafa Pasha, was determined to regain control, faced with the monumental task of rallying a disorganized and beleaguered army. the Grand Vizier launched a series of desperate counterattacks in an effort to stabilize the chaotic battlefield and restore order. However, his attempts were significantly hindered by the severe logistical issues and the fragmented command structure resulting from the Ottoman forces being divided across the Tisza River. This fragmentation severely impaired the Ottomans' ability to effectively coordinate their counterattacks. As the Grand Vizier struggled to reorganize his troops, the relentless pressure from the imperial forces, who maintained a well-coordinated and aggressive assault, compounded the Ottoman difficulties. Eugene's strategic leadership was instrumental in exploiting the weaknesses within the Ottoman defenses. His forces capitalized on the confusion and disarray, pressing their advantage with precision and relentless aggression. The imperial troops continued to dismantle the Ottoman defenses systematically, pushing deeper into their positions and forcing the Ottomans into a defensive posture. As the battle wore on, the Ottomans' inability to mount a successful counteroffensive led to rising frustration and demoralization among their ranks. The combination of Eugene's tactical brilliance, his forces' effective coordination, and the internal disarray within the Ottoman camp culminated in a decisive turning point in the battle. The imperial forces' continuous pressure and strategic exploitation of the Ottoman vulnerabilities set the stage for a potentially catastrophic defeat for the Ottoman Empire, sealing Eugene's overwhelming victory and dramatically shifting the momentum of the Great Turkish War. By the afternoon of September 11, 1697, the Battle of Zenta had reached its critical juncture, and the situation for the Ottoman forces had become increasingly dire. The destruction of the bridge over the Tisza River, a pivotal component of the Ottoman retreat plan, marked a decisive shift in the battle's dynamics. Eugene of Savoy's artillery units, having carefully assessed the Ottoman positioning, executed a precise and devastating bombardment that obliterated the bridge. This strategic move effectively severed the primary escape route for the Ottoman army, trapping thousands of soldiers who were now stranded on the northern bank of the river. The loss of the bridge created a logistical nightmare for the Ottomans, with their primary route for withdrawal blocked. Ottoman troops found themselves cut off from any feasible retreat. The river, which had previously served as a potential escape path, now stood as a formidable barrier, contributing to the growing sense of chaos and desperation among the Ottoman ranks. The Ottoman Grand Vizier, who was responsible for managing the battlefield and coordinating defense efforts, found himself in an increasingly precarious position. Despite his attempts to rally and reorganize the troops, the Ottoman forces were unable to mount an effective counter to the imperial assault. The imperial forces, having recognized the opportunity presented by the Ottoman disarray, intensified their attacks. Eugene of Savoy, renowned for his tactical ingenuity, directed his troops to exploit the gaps and weaknesses in the Ottoman defenses. The relentless pressure from the imperial forces compounded the Ottoman difficulties. The Ottoman soldiers, already demoralized by the destruction of their retreat route and the mounting losses, struggled to maintain any semblance of organized resistance. As the afternoon wore on, the situation for the Ottomans deteriorated rapidly. The scattered Ottoman units, unable to coordinate their efforts or secure a defensive perimeter, were gradually overwhelmed by the advancing imperial troops. The imperial forces, buoyed by their successful sabotage of the retreat route and their unrelenting assault, pushed forward with renewed vigor. The combination of the destroyed bridge, the disorganized state of the Ottoman forces, and the relentless imperial pressure culminated in a chaotic and disordered battlefield. By the end of the day, the Ottoman army was in a state of disarray, with many troops either captured or fleeing in panic. The strategic and logistical failures, coupled with the effective tactics employed by Eugene of Savoy, led to a resounding imperial victory. The Battle of Zenta thus became a significant turning point in the Great Turkish War, highlighting the critical importance of logistics and tactical adaptability in determining the outcome of such high-stakes conflicts. By late afternoon on September 11, 1697, the Battle of Zenta had reached a calamitous crescendo, unveiling some of the most tragic and decisive moments of the conflict. The Ottoman forces, now trapped and effectively defenseless, faced an overwhelming imperial onslaught that capitalized on the morning's strategic disruptions. The destruction of the bridge over the Tisza River earlier that day had irrevocably sealed the fate of the Ottoman army. Eugene of Savoy's meticulous destruction of the bridge not only severed the primary escape route, but transformed the Tisza River from a potential line of retreat into a formidable barrier against any organized withdrawal. As the imperial forces, buoyed by their tactical success and superior position, pressed their attack with relentless vigor, the Ottoman soldiers were plunged into a desperate and chaotic scramble. The once disciplined Ottoman army, renowned for its formidable combat prowess, had become a disorganized, demoralized mass. The breakdown of command structures, compounded by the frantic efforts of Ottoman leaders, including the Grand Vizier Sultan Mustafa Pasha, to regroup their beleaguered troops, only added to the chaos. Exhausted from the earlier combat and struggling to mount a coherent defense, the Ottoman soldiers faced a frenzied and ineffective response to the superior imperial forces. The Tisza River, swollen from recent rains, and now a tumultuous barrier, turned into a deadly trap for the fleeing Ottoman troops. In their desperate attempt to escape, soldiers poured into the river, but the merciless current proved lethal. Overcrowded and panic-stricken, the mass of fleeing soldiers struggled against the powerful flow, which swept many away. The river, once a symbol of potential safety, became a grim graveyard. Soldiers burdened with heavy armor, unable to swim or counter the current, were submerged or dragged under by the forceful waters. The scene was a tableau of harrowing chaos, with the riverbank littered with bodies and debris from the frantic escape attempts. The battle's intensity was further compounded by the Imperial artillery's relentless bombardment, the thunderous cannon fire echoing across the battlefield and further demoralizing the already shattered Ottoman troops. As the Imperial forces, having gained control of the battlefield and capitalized on the Ottomans' vulnerability, pressed forward with tactical precision, the Ottoman army, unable to mount an effective counterattack or maintain a cohesive defense, was left to endure the full brunt of the Imperial assault. By evening, the devastating toll of the battle was unmistakable. The once formidable Ottoman force had been reduced to a mere shadow of its former self, with thousands of soldiers dead, wounded, or captured. The chaotic retreat and the deadly river crossing had transformed the Ottoman defeat into a catastrophic rout, with the river choked with the bodies of those who had drowned and the battlefield strewn with the remnants of a shattered army. The imperial victory at Zenta was not just a tactical triumph, but a profound turning point in the Great Turkish War, significantly weakening Ottoman influence in the region and altering the course of European history. The Battle of Zenta, fought on September 11, 1697, was a cataclysmic defeat for the Ottoman Empire, severely impacting its military and strategic capabilities. By the end of the battle, estimates suggest that between 20,000 and 30,000 Ottoman soldiers were either killed, wounded, or missing. This massive loss crippled the Ottomans' immediate fighting capacity and undermined their morale, severely affecting their ability to sustain military operations. The Ottomans also suffered the loss of over 100 artillery pieces, which were crucial for both siege operations and battlefield engagements. This critical blow compromised their firepower and operational effectiveness, significantly impairing their ability to defend against future attacks. Additionally, the capture or destruction of the Ottoman treasury, which held essential funds for military and administrative functions, created a significant financial shortfall that further weakened their position. The loss of supplies and several thousand wagons exacerbated the logistical difficulties, leaving the remnants of the Ottoman army with severely limited resources. Sultan Mustafa II responded to the defeat by fleeing the battlefield, in a desperate attempt to save himself and preserve his remaining authority. He initially sought refuge in Temesvar, a fortified city that could have served as a base for regrouping. However, continued pressure and the collapse of Ottoman defenses forced him to abandon Temesvar and undertake a perilous retreat to Istanbul. This dramatic flight highlighted the severity of the defeat and the profound disarray within the Ottoman command structure. The repercussions of the Battle of Zenta were profound and far-reaching. The defeat marked a pivotal turning point in the Great Turkish War, significantly weakening the Ottoman Empire's control over its territories and shifting the balance of power in favor of the Holy Roman Empire and its allies. The battle exposed vulnerabilities in the Ottoman military and administrative systems, leading to a period of introspection and reform. Eugene of Savoy's strategic and tactical innovations were crucial in turning the tide of the conflict. The Ottoman defeat resulted from several interconnected factors. The strategic division of forces, severe logistical challenges, Eugene's effective strategy, and critical operational failures. The Ottoman army, estimated at between 60,000 and 100,000, was divided between the northern and southern banks of the Tisza River, preventing a unified defense or counterattack. This division left them vulnerable and unable to consolidate their strength.